I feel like this is probably, I don't want to jump the gun, but I feel like this is probably the best episode of the House of the Dragon I've seen so far.
It's
So
up
yep,
there.
yep, I think this might be the best episode because it was fire from start to finish. Alrighty, boys. So House of the Dragon finally making a return here, and we are off to a fire start. What do you guys think of this initial first episode?
Yep, season 3, episode 1. After a couple years, yeah, I love this first episode. Yeah, and I felt like
too.
it jumped right in, kind of this new season kind of
Yep.
storyline. Season 2, a lot of people kind of thought it was just kind of with at least how season 1 did.
Yep.
They thought season 2 would kind of come off like right
Yep.
away, but it ended up being kind of more of a setting up again.
Yeah,
But
they were going into DEFCON 5 at the end of season 1, and then it felt like it went slower pace, and it was just a lot of commentary in season 2, so it felt like it slowed way down. But in this season, I feel like they're like right off to a hot start. This is how I expected season 2 to start. I feel like this is probably, I don't want to jump the gun, but I feel like this is probably the best episode of House of the Dragon I've seen so far.
It's
so
up
yep,
there.
Yep, I think this might be the best episode because it was fire from start to finish. And I like that we didn't do a major time jump or anything like that. We kind of picked up right where we left off at the end of season 2. I feel like every scene was like intense in its own way. Like it didn't really feel like there was any filler scenes. Like there was a few talking scenes here and there, especially in the first half of the episode, but I feel like they all had their like tense moments,
connected as well to the
100%. Yeah, so kind of everything made sense and moved at a really good pace. This was like the best paced episode I've seen.
Like you said, it was pretty action packed. There's a lot going on. There's some mystery still in there too, so kind of leaving us on a few cliffhangers.
So yeah, definitely setting up more this season, just kind of how things went throughout the episode. But yeah, overall, this episode, I felt like this just a great start to this season. So I'm
100%.
excited to see.
Yeah, again, like I said, this is probably the best episode so far. So yeah, let's kind of get into spoiler talk now on kind of the plot of the episode and the big main events that happened. So we kind of kick off with Aegon still fleeing King's Landing with Larys.
Yep.
So they're in the back of that Raven cart.
Shows them getting captured.
Yeah, and do they get stopped by? Who was it that they get stopped by? Obviously, like Bannerman of Rhaenyra.
Yeah, it's just another house. I think it didn't really say.
Yeah,
but it
I
was
didn't
just
know
people.
if they were Northmen or what they were, but they were supporters of Rhaenyra, and they were saying like if you were going to cross through here, you have to bend the knee and pledge allegiance to Rhaenyra, or we can't let you cross. And Larys was doing it. He's obviously playing along, but Aegon wasn't even going to take it that far. And Aegon's still struggling. He's dying for some milk of the poppy over there. Yeah.
So it started with the Dance of the Dragons, like we said, erupting into open warfare there. Rhaenyra plans to claim King's Landing through Alicent's promised surrender. So we saw that at the end of season 2.
Yeah, when they met and they kind of came to that agreement.
Plan.
Yep. And then like her advisors are kind of telling her, like the small council's telling her that she that they can't trust her. Like obviously Jace is complaining again like usual. He doesn't want to he wants her to take his advice and she's just not taking it.
He thinks it's a trap. Yep.
100%.
And then Alicent ends up going back later and she thinks Aemon's at Harrenhal, but he's ended up like
but it was kind of a fake out because once he realized that Aegon has fled King's Landing, he's like, oh, I'm not going to go to Harrenhal. Somebody needs to stay here and guard the city. So she was trying to bait him into going to Harrenhal to set up Rhaenyra to come in and take King's Landing with him not there.
Yep.
And he's obviously kind of like onto that plan, I think. He's onto something's going on. I don't think he knows that that's the exact plan, but he knows something's up or that Aegon has fled, so he needs to stay there and guard the throne.
He ends up leaving, though, or at least what the last hint in the scene he was in.
Yeah.
Like him kissing Alicent.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was going to touch on that later, but that's what I meant by every scene, even the talking scenes, had their own like awkward or tense moments, and that was definitely the most awkward scene probably of the show so far. Alicent seems so uncomfortable. She had that single,
but she's just trying to
go thug tear rolled down her eyes.
She's just playing along because she wants him to leave. She knows.
She's like begging him to leave. Yeah, and she seemed like she was even faking him out there when she was saying like, "Man, if you were just born first, you could have been the king instead of Aegon."
Trying to talk him,
she's trying to play him and get on his side.
It's a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, literally. Yep.
Then he kind of showed the Triarchy, who we saw in season 1 and stuff. He launches a massive attack against Valerian's blockade, which that kind of whole episode ends up kind of revolving around the Battle of the Gullet. So that's what they call it there.
Yep, I didn't realize they were going to be like right outside of Dragonstone.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I thought it was by King's Landing, kind of.
But when he said, because he said something too about like, oh, send ravens to Dragonstone to let them know that the fleet's here. I was like, Raven to Dragonstone. I was like, how long is that going to take to get somebody out there to like respond? How Jason Bela came out there on their dragons. Obviously, that's what I think like the sea stake wanted, but I didn't know that they were right there next to Dragonstone where he could send a message and get them out there. That quick.
Right there.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we didn't really touch, but the it opened with Rhaena, like, successfully bonding with Sheepstealer, the dragon there.
Yeah, we
so.
saw her kind of finding Sheepstealer at the end of season 2, and then she's
Picked
trying to
up right
tame
away.
it. Yep. She's trying to tame it, and there's like glimpses that she can, but then there's also moments where she can't, and clearly that erupts at the end because that's like the whole climax of the episode. We saw that one scene where at the kind of towards the beginning of the episode where it's Damon. Was that the only time Damon was in this episode?
I believe so, yeah.
Yep, he was
him and the River Lords.
Yeah, they were at that battle, and then the Starks show up and they give him one of the Lannister twins' heads.
It was Jason Lannister.
So Jason's the one on the small council. Who's the other one that was on the boats at the end?
Tyland Lannister. Tyland's the one on the small council. Jason was just another like Lannister, his twin.
Oh, okay.
But he wasn't on the small council. And then that was Jason's head that
that they delivered. Yeah, so now they're the Starks, and like it seems like the other Northmen are like kind of pledging to Rhaenyra. So.
I know there's another Stark character that comes here later that's apparently big in the books, like of the Dance of the Dragon. So we haven't seen him yet.
Yep, I haven't read the books, so I don't know.
Me neither.
Know
I've
much
just
about
seen like what people have said.
That doesn't surprise me that the Starks and like the Northmen are kind of on Rhaenyra's side because that kind of plays into Game of Thrones because they're not going to obviously team up with the Lannisters on like the Hightower side. So
yeah, we kind of went back to Dragonstone. Rhaenyra still believes that Alicent's surrender plan can prevent further bloodshed, but that Triarchy fleet, which was by that Lohar, that girl that was kind of the leader of that whole clan and on the ships there. Yep, attacks the Valyrian blockade. So yeah, that kind of ends up again that massive battle at the end. Then like boarding the Sea Snake's ship, and then kind of all out chaos.
Yeah, literally. Before we kind of get deep into that, who was it that we saw that was in the green at the tents?
I believe that was Daron. Like
Daron. Okay.
One of
didn't they mention his name in season 2? But then we didn't get to see what he looked like.
I don't know if that was Daron because Daron's one of Alicent's kids. Ormond Hightower. That's who that is.
Ormond Hightower.
Okay, so yeah, we can.
And this was our first time seeing him, right?
Yeah, I don't remember an Ormond or anything, right?
Yep.
I thought that was Daron. I don't think we've seen Daron. So, but apparently he's like pretty big in the books too. So we didn't see Otto.
Yeah, still haven't seen Otto. So Otto's still lurking somewhere. Gwaine and Kristen Cole, they were just at the tents there. So that's the only time we got to see them this episode. But yeah, we can kind of get into the final battle, how it kind of erupts here. So we see them obviously surrounded, like all the Sea Snakes ships. They're surrounded, like they're outnumbered on their fleet. So they were saying that she had a whole fleet there, and they were surrounded. That's where, as we kind of touched on, they sent a Raven to Dragonstone. Rhaenyra is going to fly out there herself. And then obviously Jace is advising her like, no, it's a trap. You can't go. So then he advises the head of the Queen's Guard to barricade the door and not let her leave. So then he goes himself. So we obviously knew something was going to happen there.
And then we end up seeing too, like the Triarchy using those harpoons.
Yeah,
like,
I was about to
sort
say,
of like Game of Thrones.
Even though, because that's what I kind of mentioned that when we were watching the episode. Even though this is like 200 years in the past before Game of Thrones, it seems like in a lot of times, especially like in warfare, they have better technology and weaponry sometimes than what we saw in Game of Thrones, because they already have like the harpoons to be able to take the dragons down. But I guess since they're fighting dragons all the time, they have to have things.
That's true, yeah, because Game of Thrones, they never had to deal with them, so they probably never
got
like lost or
got
something.
rid of those weapons,
or the what's it called, the recipe, or the kind of how to build them.
Yeah, because they have those harpoons with the anchors tied to them on the ship, so then the anchor pulls the dragon down into the water.
Yeah, that's good.
And then like they showed like they had the battering rams on the ship, so they could just ram straight through. They were doing the ladders where they were pulling up right next to the ship and they were laddering across and just going and fighting on the boats. Yeah, I don't remember Game of Thrones really doing that much. We
didn't get that much of ship warfare though in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. It was just more like they would land somewhere and then fight.
Yeah.
And then like Game of Thrones, we got a lot of bows where they would like draw back their bows and shoot like in a line, but in here they have a lot of crossbows.
Yeah,
and it seems like they're just shooting way faster than the bows. So
and then just going into that final battle, Rhaena ended up arriving with Sheepstealer because she saw like that battle going on there. She ends up attacking Moondancer, who's her sister.
Well, kind of before that, we forgot that I wanted to touch on that God tier play where they went to harpoon Jace's dragon down
the first time.
Yep, and then Bela, she swings in and like cuts the line. So then she saves Jace, and then I'm like, okay, they're just gonna return and be fine. But then obviously Sheepstealer ends up showing up, and then that makes them like double back and come back around, because I think they thought it was maybe one of like the high towers,
like the enemy dragons.
Yep. So they come in to take her out, and then they realize that it's Bela's sister on the dragon. So then they stop attacking, and they're just trying to evade.
Yeah, and obviously she couldn't control the dragon, so
the dragon's just not minding her at all. She hasn't been able to tame Sheepstealer.
But and then we see Vermax, who's Jace's dragon. Yep, gets struck by the
they hit him with
harpoons.
another one of the harpoons, and this time it actually, instead of going like through the saddle of the dragon, it actually went into the dragon and pierced its skin, and then took him down into the water. And then I thought Jace was going to be fine because he's like hooked to the saddle, obviously, and he was able to unhook himself and come up above the water and get air. Yep, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's like, Bela's going to maybe swing in and pick him up, and then obviously just that arrow
How that ended there. We were shocked.
Like the way the sound cuts, like right when he gets hit by that arrow, I was like, wow.
Yep,
and then that was just so intense. And then the way he spun around and then he just got hit in the chest and then he gets like clipped by another one. I was like, yeah, he's not surviving that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yep, that gave me vibes of season 1 when Aemon's dragon killed Rhaenyra's other son.
How the episode just ended.
It ended with that, and it was like,
well, it ended up going to Rhaenyra in season 1, but yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was an intense.
That was a good ending.
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of good fights in there.
Yeah, we didn't touch on yet, but like one of the last parts was Corlys getting knocked into the sea and then disappears.
Yep, because
that's the last we saw.
Yep, because Alan ended up killing
Lohar.
Yep, Lohar girl, and he ended up trying to drown her, and then it looked like he took her own knife. I guess stabbed her in the neck. Yep.
So and there goes her.
Yeah, because Alan was mean mugging her after Corlys like fell in the water because they were fighting. Yeah.
Then he just jumped over there and they started fighting.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
I thought definitely one of the best battle scenes.
100%. Yep, and it was so intense when they were trying to cut through before that all erupted. They were trying to cut through that small narrow passage at Dragonstone. Yep, and Corlys actually drove the ship himself and was able to navigate in there. Yeah. And then they were able to make it through as well, but just that one ship.
Yeah, they had 3, and then they lost the other 2.
That was a good opening first episode. Yep. Good start to the season.
It's gonna be interesting to see what Rhaenyra thinks about losing another son, and then it's just gonna be an all-out war.
Yeah, I feel like shit. I feel like shit's about to pop off and erupt in this next episode after she gets the news that Jace died. I hope it stays on. I know they can't do battles like that every episode, but I hope it stays on that same like quick pace.
I think because this is only supposed to go 4 seasons, so I don't think it's going to be some drawn out huge series, but it's going to be interesting.
I hope they stay on this pace because it was a good first episode. Probably the best episode of the series. Definitely a hotter start than season 2 was. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
a lot of loose cannons out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. All these storylines, kind of.
Yep.
Yeah, and Rhaenyra was not involved in this episode much too, and she's obviously like one of the main characters.
Some of the people got sidelined, like Daemon, Kristen Cole. Like they just kind of had one little talking scene, and that was it, really.
Yep. It kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones because some of those characters, there's so many of them, like a couple episodes. Yeah,
you can't give everybody their shine every episode. So yeah, we might get more like a lot of Daemon and a lot of like Kristen Cole in the next episode because Kristen Cole's obviously out with his own little
because they were supposed to wait for Aemond, like because I think they're by Harrenhal, so they're just kind of waiting around.
Yep, and we didn't touch on the trio, the 3 dragon riders from last season that they discovered, like when they got Vermithor.
Hugh Hammer was one, and I think what was the other guy's name?
Yep,
it's like Al. It's not Alan, but it's like his brother as well. Like
another one of the bastard sons, right?
So run into that witch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They did run that
we didn't touch about that. Yeah.
They like that like goat dude.
Yeah. He's
on top of the hill.
Yeah. Didn't he see like a black ram or something in the woods? Yeah. And then that witch that was at Harrenhal season 2 with Daemon, she just pops up out of nowhere.
Yep.
So yeah, clearly she's still gonna tie in and play a role here in some fashion.
Yep.
Alrighty, that is gonna be a wrap on episode 1 of House of the Dragon Boys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a thumbs up down below. Let us know in the comment section what you guys thought of episode 1 of House of the Dragon season 3. If you guys enjoyed this video, come back next week for another one. Peace.